What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am Mike, aka Living with 3M Auto Vlogging, and today focuses on the boat and the maintenance involved or lack thereof. One of the most neglected items on a boat and boat trailer are the brakes. People hardly ever think about them until they start failing. So today, what we're gonna do is change out the surge brake actuator that's really faulty. And how do you know if your surge brake actuator is faulty? I can tell you one quick way to know. And that is when you take off at a red light and you feel like, bam, somebody's just hit you in the ass. That is the shock inside that surge brake actuator is failing. Also, I'm gonna change out the calipers on the single axle trailer today. I was just gonna do brake pads, but got to looking at them. It's pretty rusty in there, and we've actually got to do some sanding on one of the control arms from the axle. It's rusty. So when you get in there, if you see problems, fix them. Don't ignore them. Removing the old surge brake actuator. We're just gonna remove this one, and that's 3/4 inch wrench or socket, and you'll need one for each side. Yeah. And you can use an impact gun if you need, or an impact drill in reverse to remove this stuff faster. All right, we're gonna remove these 2 bolts right here, just like that first. Now we got to get these out. Okay, note this bottom bolt has 2 nuts on each side, over here and over here. Okay, and when you turn that, it continually spins inside there. So the reason for that, some guys don't have that. They just have a bolt and a nut. But I've got 2 nuts on 2 different bolts that the head of the bolt is inside here. All right, and the reason they do that is so these safety chains or cables, they mount to that. So what you got to do is get you a boxed in 3/4 or 19 millimeter wrench, go up inside here to the back of that, then you can remove it. A little more aggravating, and I'll show you this right quick. All right, we removed that nut. All right, notice how I'm pulling my wrench out that way. Now I've got to, you can actually grab onto the safety chain, push that back through. There it is. So that's what you're dealing with. If you just try to do the outside, it's just going to spin around in there. So that's what we're going to have to put back on here. That easy. If you call it that easy. All right, there's the nut. Take your wrenches off, safety chain. It all fell out, just like that. All right, so I just lifted this unit up like this. All right, so put the 12 up top and the 10 on the bottom. Yeah, it comes loose real easy. All right. Took that hose loose right there, and it just basically fell over. All right, so we have this one wire right here. I'm gonna take our little pliers, and close to the actuator, we're gonna snip that, so you'll have that black wire still here. So we're done, guys. Let's review what we removed. I removed 4 bolts 4 locking nuts and 8 washers from the actuator. And I'm going back with these new stainless steel bolts, nuts, and washers. So I disconnected the brake line fitting you see right here. Then I snipped the black wire that will be reconnected to the new surge brake. Parts guy just dropped off our new parts. Got both calipers with brake pads. Right there, you see them. And there is the actuator. Yes. Awesome. To connect this wire right here, you either have to have somebody hold this for you, or you can temporarily bolt this in to the front hole, or you can just lean it on something. But you got to have 2 hands to strip this wire and connect our new wire, which is right here. I'm gonna cut off about half of this, so we'll discard that. Gonna strip this back just like that. Twist that wire. All right, I've got a weather resistant butt connector, so we're gonna put that in there. And I like these because you heat them up and it acts like shrink wrap around there. It's not gonna stop water altogether, but it will be a lot better than a bare connector with black tape on it. Just like that. All right, we're gonna strip this wire just like this. We're gonna connect these two. Let's see, make sure. All right. Just like that. Now we're going to take, you can either take a heat gun or a lighter, and if this lighter will work, you want to keep it moving. You don't want to have it in one place too long, just enough to heat that up, and it's going to act like shrink wrap. And it's going to seal that around there. It's pretty cool. Well, it'll be enough just to get that sealed. So the black wire is the solenoid wire, and we've reconnected that to the new actuator. Okay, so you can do this different ways. I usually just tuck that, lift this up, and work it back. It's gonna be a little tight. You just work back, maybe take a rubber hammer. You can tap the end of it. Bolt with a washer through this back one. Washer with a locking nut on this side. Just like that. On the other side, same thing we just done. Washer, then the nut. All right, we don't want to tighten these down with our wrenches just yet. All right, now comes the bottom ones. reinstalling the safety cables, what we're gonna do is it'll go up in there, in behind this hole. Your opening is right here on the tongue, I guess you'd call that, the factory bar or the trailer bar. So, and we're going inside there like this and come out through the hole. Okay, so it's gonna be a little tougher, but it's not impossible. See there, already there. First one's easier, but the second one will be a little tougher because you've got all this in the way inside there. So we're gonna put stainless washer on and the lock nut this way. Exactly the same on this side. All right, move this over, just get it out of the way for the time being. Make sure your washer is on there. Just like this. I'm gonna feed it up through. Yeah, see things start to get in the way right now a little bit. Still not bad at all. Look at that. All right, got my wrench on the other side. All right, we are completely installed. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. We're going with I think it's a 10 millimeter. I'll double check that. So yep, it's a 10. Fits right there. So that is the final step. So black wire inside here to the reverse solenoid, brake cable, and these bolts. All right, so removing the caliper, you're gonna have 2 bolts, which can be 11 millimeter or 7/16. I've got the 7/16 here because this 11 millimeter is so short that I own. It's not going to be possible to remove this with such a short wrench. So the 7/16, the reason I've got it, it's just longer. If you need to tap it with a hammer, then do whatever you got to do to remove it. Let's see, that is, there we go, just like that. And it may be a job for some of you guys. The boat is made for saltwater and freshwater. So if you don't rinse your trailer regular, then these pins, these bolts, everything under here can be in pretty bad shape, just like this was. But we caught it just where it started to rust and chip the paint away. Sand all that down and respray that. Keep a check on that yearly, on everything yearly. I go over everything: spark plugs, oil, water pump, absolutely everything. All right, there's that pin out. There's that pin. That'll be the only thing that holds this caliper on. Always keep you a rag too. Just, all right, remove this. Okay, we're gonna wind up removing the brake line right here. May want to use some WD-40. Using a 3/8 open-end wrench. You're gonna see it looks a lot, almost identical to the old one. And this is part number 46304 from Dexter. All right. We're gonna connect the brake line to that port right there. Use a 3/8. Tighten that down, careful to not over tighten it. So I want to get it snug, just like that. Notice how close I've got that wrench. I'm not way out here putting a lot of pressure on it. So that's pretty snug, looks good. Careful not to kink or bind up the brake line. We'll fit it on just like this. Right there, we're gonna reuse our factory pins. Oh yeah, looks really good, guys. We'll torque those down. In case you're wondering why I've got a lug nut, I've got an opened end lug nut on here just to help me hold this rotor from flopping around. So now you've got these pins, two mounting pins tight, and you're gonna notice, wait a minute, there's a lot of slop in this, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what's going on? Well, once we prime and we bleed the brakes, we're going to open this and bleed the brakes, and when we do, these pads are going to tighten up on the rotor right there, so it'll tighten up any slop that we have. Repeat this process on the other side brake caliper. Okay, now I'm going to cover real quick bleeding the brakes. All right, everybody should know how to bleed brakes. Remember when your father told you to pump the brakes in the truck? So up front, you're gonna need a screwdriver. All right, so just disregard the green bungee. It's here just to hold the tarp on. All right, because we're fixing to get a rainstorm. Okay, see right here? Move it back and forth. And when I get back to the rear tires, and I'm gonna ask somebody, I'm gonna say, pump it. They're gonna pump it like this, and then they're gonna hold it back this way. You come back here with 11mm wrench, just like in this picture. Have them pump them, hold, you say hold, then you release it. It's gonna release fluid and air. Then you tighten it back up. So that's gonna do it for changing out the actuator and the calipers and bleeding the system. As many of you guys know, my channel revolves around my 2018 Indoraptor Zeus, but every so often I will throw in some home projects and some boat projects. So anytime I've got anything revolving around fishing or boating, I always refer to my good friend right here, Keith Robinson over at Fishing and Stuff. You won't find a better how-to channel on the internet. He's a good friend of mine. I suggest y'all check him out because he sets the standard when it comes to fishing and stuff.